Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Dreamworld video. We are on week number 27. And honestly, this week is an absolute roller coaster of emotions, but in a good way. First up, the update, despite releasing Friday, only came out Sunday. And there's a bit of a weird story behind that one. They had apparently uploaded the file on Friday, along with the update. However, they hadn't noticed that the upload had failed, probably due to the ever-increasing file size finally exceeding itch.io's file size limit. I went to the itch.io page and it's 6 GB this week. Obviously, they've fucked it up. They've uploaded the wrong file or an incomplete version. So I download it, go to launch it, and it works. The only thing I can suspect with this is that they finally stopped packaging engine content. As many know, Unreal Engine has lots of pre-built-in content, and I can only imagine that they were actually packaging that as part of the game prior to this week. So I'm actually impressed that they did this. I mean, 6 GB for what the game is still disgustingly high. The only other way that I think they could decrease this now is by downscaling some of these disgusting 4K textures. Although a lot of these textures are 4K, they're being used so poorly in the material editor that they don't look 4K. So there's no loss there in downscaling them. But anyway, on to the actual patch highlights of this week. Beautiful new day and night music and ambience in every biome. And that's what you've been hearing since the start of this video. I have to say, their music choices all the way through this development cycle has been atrocious. It's been like taking a lovely Rolls Royce or Bentley and just sticking underglow on it. That's what it's felt like, just out of place. But I actually have to give them props. They've picked good music, and I've checked, and they are using it within the royalty-free license of it, so I can't complain at that. Destroying assets will make them crumble. That's completely incorrect. They don't crumble at all. They just straight up don't. This seems to be a reoccurring theme. There's something in every update that just isn't in the update, but I'll let them off as they've reduced the file size so heavily that they might have just taken out this patch. Collaborative building improvements. See where friends are going to place assets. I couldn't test this because I don't have friends. Boar will no longer follow you into the city or water, but they will outrun you. True, they will outrun you. Now, I didn't even know that they would follow you into the city. I never encountered this bug because I was too busy being punted around the desert by them. So, naturally, I never experienced that. I really wish I had, though, because I can imagine this being the absolute peak of comedy gold. Just a boar running around in the city. I'd have lured them all in there, just infinite boar in the city. But congratulations on fixing that. I did test it and it does no longer work. Fixed invisible player after dismounting bug. Now, this is a bug that they're referring to where if you see another player dismount, well, you don't see them dismount. They just evaporate. Now, I didn't see anyone in Dreamworld, so this either means that the bug isn't fixed and everyone's still invisible, or there was just no one on Dreamworld, and I can surmise quite easily which one of those is most likely. Dying while mounted no longer gets players stuck. Can confirm, you die as normal. Congratulations. A number of other bug fixes and mount improvements. So they've changed the mount so it's not two separate entities strapped together like two neodymium magnets, both positively pointing at each other. It just feels smoother. Also, you no longer use A and D to turn the mount, you just use the mouse. Oh, the hallelujah. That's all that was ever needed from mounts. Congratulations, that was great. While we're talking about uncertain bug fixes, I just want to say something that I realised this week. That little white sphere, the little white orb that we see in the middle of the city every single week that never gets removed, I finally realised what it was. I had a brainwave, and while looking through the debug info on this game, it's actually the pivot point for the spline that generates their city streets. They've got this like vector spline that essentially generates buildings either side of it, which is why the buildings don't make any sense. It's been bugging me for ages, and I'm so glad that I finally figured this out. But the funny thing is, there's a single checkbox to hide this white orb and make it non-collidable. It's only there for developers to see where it is while editing. The players don't ever need to see it. Now, while that's the end of the patch notes, I actually want to tell you something that really surprised me about Dreamworld. I don't know if it's something to do with the reduction in file size or what. That some change has been made that isn't documented here, and I actually want to give them praise for this. Now, I have said this from the beginning. If someone is doing something wrong or shitty, I will tell them that they're doing something wrong or shitty. If someone is doing something deserving of praise or recognition, I will praise them or recognize them. Now, as of this week's update, I have been able to record this without lag. I have had no crashes of OBS, no crashes of anything. My GPU usage has dropped to 40% instead of the 90 plus. Again, I don't know what they've done, but I imagine it has something to do with the reduction of file size. It was actually smooth to play. Smooth enough that I decided, most weeks I normally say, oh, I can't test that feature because it's things that I don't have. It's end game stuff. So I thought, I might as well try and progress in the game a little bit so I can give a fair assessment of their patch notes. And I kind of hate to say this, but I had an hour and a half where I actually somewhat enjoyed Dreamworld. I decided to myself, well, I need a base of operations, so I'm going to build one. Now, building is janky as fuck. It really is. It needs massive improvements beyond belief. But gathering stuff, I don't know what they fixed. Again, I don't know what they fixed, but it just feels better. I spent time walking around gathering resources with their new beautiful music playing. I built a little beach house on the shore as a base of operations. Every time I walked out onto my balcony by the sea, I could hear waves lapping at the shore. I have to give them massive praise for the sound. They've actually done wonders with their sound system. I don't know if it's a biome-based sound system with the waves lapping at the shore, but it actually sounds good. They've normalized all of the audio levels, so things don't sound obnoxiously loud, such as footsteps overriding all the music. And I also feel at this point it's worth noting, although I bash on them weekly, I have to give them praise for updating it weekly and actually doing things. Not just adding things to check off, marks on the Kickstarter page, but actually fixing bugs that I mentioned in a previous week. Now, they'll never admit that I am the reason they fixed those bugs, but they are doing it. I actually really hope that they can start to fix a lot of things in this for multiple reasons, because the moment this game becomes more playable, everybody who backed on the Kickstarter and has purchased the game actually has something that they can get enjoyment out of. And although I don't like the game, if somebody else does and they get enjoyment out of it, I'm happy for you. And I'm starting to think this game might be getting to the point where people can get enjoyment out of it. $30 enjoyment? No, definitely not. But they can get enjoyment out of it now. Ladies and gents, I'm still strongly hoping for that Dreamworld redemption arc, the day that everything gets turned around. That's not quite today, but they're definitely making huge steps in the right direction. So, like I say, praise is given where praise is deserved. And honestly, overall, this is probably the best week's update that they've done. And now that it's not laggy, I might even play it on stream. As always, ladies and gents, a massive thank you for dropping by and watching today. After this video, I am going to be live over on Twitch. And as always, a massive thank you to the Patreons. I could not be doing this without you guys, and you guys mean the world to me. If you want to consider joining my Patreon, please head to the link in the description. It massively helps in the time of uncertain YouTube ad revenue. And you know the drill, guys. Have a fantastic day and an awesome week.